Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the Rangers and Operational Update. We're streaming this live on Facebook and the presentation will be available on the NRA website later this afternoon. For those in the room, please hold your questions until the end of the presentations. We've got quite a lot to cover and there are some important messages, particularly around range safety. And so we're recording and categorising incidents differently this year, and Roger Beattie will explain a little more about that in a minute. While there have been some serious incidents recently, it's important to note that the vast majority of clubs and individuals act in a responsible and safe manner. We encourage users to report concerns, and this has undoubtedly meant an increase in reported incidents. Most are minor in nature, but all incidents are reviewed at the monthly Range Safety Committee, where we identify trends and agree actions to reduce risk. For example, changes to range regulations, identify training or knowledge gaps by individual or clubs, or consider stronger sanctions. But a reminder that range safety is the responsibility of every range user. We invest around £350,000 a year on the NSC ranges, not only to maintain the existing range infrastructure, but improve the facilities. I'll talk a little more about that later. Becky Sweet will cover the large NRA competitions for next year and provide more details about our plans for a Youth Imperial. Velma Durham will talk about the new air range in the pavilion here. And Michael Bobbington will talk about the facilities, the improved facilities at the Bisley Sporting Rifle Range and the Bisley Shooting Academy. And Jodie Gray-Piazza will cover updates around range bookings, including member days and sections 7-3 heritage shoots. Overall, this is a very busy range complex, provides a multitude of target options and distances, including turning targets, moving targets, manually marked and electronic, shot from 7 metres out to 1,200 yards. The range office team have already plotted some 1,500 bookings, even before we open for clubs on the 3rd of November. The competitions team look after over 5,500 competitors across the year, supported by hundreds of volunteer range officers and stats teams. And over 1,000 people are trained each year at Bisley and regionally in a variety of courses, including hand loading, RSO and RCO, club instructor, probationary modules, as well as specialist courses for firearms inquiry officers and other NGOs and interested parties. The constant in all of this is our teams, who regularly work beyond their official hours because they care about Bisley, and we take great pride in delivering a world-class shooting venue. One other small thanks before we move on to it is Jodie, who'll be speaking at the end of there, is heading off on maternity leave in 2 weeks' time, and she's prepared an awful lot of the groundwork for the next 3 or 4 months with all her teams around her. So I want to thank her for that, and on behalf of a number of people who've asked me to say it, wish you the very best, and we look forward to seeing what comes up in a few weeks' time. So, over to Roger Beattie.
Right, good afternoon, people. Those of you that don't know me, I'm one of the range safety supervisors on the range. Okay. Firstly, I'd like to thank the ROs and the members for their assistance through the last year. Okay. A lot of the work that we carry out is on the hearsay and advice of people that are shooting on the range that give us the heads up that something isn't quite right. And for that, we thank you. Okay. As of last week, I checked the bookings and there was 11,646 bookings throughout the year. Now, a booking can be anything from an individual up to 50 people plus on club shoots. So I want you to bear that in mind when I give you some of these facts and figures, because what we're talking about is a very, very small, not even a percentage really, of the number of people that use these ranges, okay? However, we are still striving to get that number down, okay? That's the main thing, main part of our job. So our main aim is to reduce those safety issues within the range. Major incidents. In the previous years, we've always just put across the stats for the major incidents that have happened on the range. This year, what we've actually been doing is recording the minor ones too, to try and get some better idea what the trends are. So effectively, the incident categories: major incidents, breach of regulations, or safety critical. And we'll come on to that in a minute with a little bit of a pie chart. Minor incidents, SSC, safe shooter certification, safe practice, and range regs are basically the areas where people were going wrong. Not necessarily because they came out willfully to do something wrong, lack of knowledge, okay? So that's the categories we've been recording over the last year. Total of 37 minor incidents, which resulted, I say minor incidents, which resulted in us having to attend and speak to someone and actually probably investigate what went on. That's broken down into, as you can see there, 46% were range regulations, like people breaking the range regulations, whether it be, let's have a look, let's get this going. Right, so those are the examples of minor incidents. So safe shooter certification, non-members in attendance, planning on shooting, not being actually authorised to shoot. So someone bringing along a friend, family member, thinking he can turn up at the range and engage in a shooting practice with someone that is not a member, okay? We've caught a few people in the last year, luckily, in most cases, before they started shooting. Making the bookings under as an individual rather than a club, which is a big one. Individuals who turn up, they make the booking under their name and bring along a load of club members. Not acceptable, okay? We can clear those up, but it's time consuming in as much as that we have to send people away and get the booking changed. Not declaring guest days to the NRA is another category that we found came popping up far too often. Poor practice or issues with safe practice, poor firearm handling, safety drills, firearms not correctly zeroed is a big one, or dialed to set at the wrong distance, and lanes and distances incorrectly identified. i.e. someone turns up at the range, they set their firearm up at 600, but their actual booking's for 300, which is back forward a couple of 100 yards. So these are little things that we've captured in the past. Major incidents, we break down into two categories: breach of regulations and safety critical. A total of 22 major incidents, okay, which resulted in 25 suspensions throughout the year. And the breakdown there in the pie chart is on the left. So safety critical, once again, potential to cause harm, okay? I'm not going to go into all of them, but basically negative discharges, uncleared firearms being removed from the firing point. Someone's got an empty case or a live round stuck in the breech. Rather than call the armour out, they then decide to walk it over to Fulton's, and then obviously the issues start there. Shooting through lunch before the hooter is more prevalent on the gallery rifle ranges, okay? Or walking through safety boards is another one. We've all seen it. You've all heard the stories. These are the main issues that we're coming up with on the major incidents. When we looked into the breakdown of these figures, 15 incidents involved club SECs, people that were holding a club SEC, okay? Of those, 8 of them were individual members. So basically, what's come from this is that people have been going out with their club and they've been shepherded from A to B. Right, you're on the firing point here, you're shooting this way. You're shooting this direction, so they go out there, they're quite happy. When they're left to their own devices, they start to make mistakes. And that is a trend that we've picked up this year with the minor incidents. To that end, we've come round now to we've looked at it and considered the options that are open to us. So of those incidents, we're trying to reduce even further. This is a big one. Allowing non-members to shoot on the range, okay? To shoot on Bisley ranges, individuals must be a member of the NRA or an affiliated club, simple as, okay? That's the insurance cover that you have, right? Non-members may only shoot as part of an NRA guest day or as a registered club guest day or any other notified event where the insurance is in place to cover these individuals. All users of the NSC ranges must be in possession of a current safe shooter certification. Current, not 2 years out of date or 1 year out of date or next month maybe. Current shoot safe, and it's your responsibility to ensure you've got it. And it must be issued by the NRA or supervised, the current SSC issued by the NRA or supervised on a one-to-one basis by the holder of such cards. Now that is only extended to probationary members and full members. All full members must be in possession of a valid SAC. Guest days, once again, the extension goes out to the guest day. So one-to-one there with your guest is acceptable. For you to make a booking and bring someone in on Tuesday off your own back is not acceptable. Bringing a friend or non-member to shoot on busy ranges is against the range regulations and may have implications for the FAC holder. And as I mentioned earlier, non-members are not insured and will not be covered in the event of an injury. And some years ago, we had exactly that. An individual had, I wouldn't say life-changing, but it affected his job, lost a finger, okay. He wasn't insured. Turned up with the club, wasn't a club member, and when it all unravelled, he was left there literally with nowhere to go to get that compensation he was looking for. Negligent discharges. We've all heard the rumours, the little stories that are going around. Okay, I want you to pay particular attention to this next, and just take a few minutes to read through those articles. Okay? You're all shooters here. You all know the consequences of that happening, okay, and what the consequences can be. Not just for yourself as an individual, but also for the NRA, if there is a serious incident, okay? Can't stress enough the seriousness of you checking and checking again the firearm before you leave the firing point. Cursory looks are not acceptable. If you can't see into the chamber, torches, flags in there, get it sorted, make sure it's done, get someone else to check. If need be, remove the bolt. Okay, you need to check into the bore. Does everybody understand? Everyone happy? Good. Once again, I can't stress the seriousness of that point. Now we get on to the niff-naff, okay? My favourite. Parking on the ranges, okay? Vehicles are not allowed forward of the 1,000-yard firing point unless one of the following applies. Parking on butt zero because you've got a booking, and don't, if you're shooting at 900, don't assume you can go down there and park there because the CNC might be turning up 15 minutes late, okay? You only park in butt zero if you've got a booking. The vehicle has a range pass issued by the range office. Now, lots of people have different reasons for disabilities. If you go to the range office, explain to them what the disability is or the problem is, they will look at issuing you with a range pass. That is what you need to go forward of the 1,000-yard firing point to park. And because you turn up there and there's 6 cars down there, doesn't mean that you can follow the trend and just bimble down there. You need a pass. There's 2 reasons. One, we need to control the vehicles on the range floor. But secondly, if you look at the 1,000-yard firing point, it's devastated. There's next to no grass. What we were trying to do is maintain the integrity of the range forward of the 1,000-yard firing point. And that's the reason, one of the reasons. Missions have been given by the range office for specific events. And once again, they generally issue passes. If you're driving a golf buggy or a similar vehicle, no closer than 20 metres to the firing point, once again, to maintain the integrity of that area. And the other one is butt markers entering Stickle down, and they usually congregate up by Melville and then fire themselves down. If in doubt, you can always go to the Bisley Bible, page 51. That'll tell you exactly what you can and can't do. RO duties. We have a selection of range officers that come down with the clubs and as individuals. Most are very, very good. And you listen to the briefings from the back. They give a concise briefing, what they can and can't do. They make sure all the club members know where they are, what they can and can't do at that particular stage of the day. There are some clubs that are a bit wishy-washy, okay? The RO, whoever is nominated, is responsible for every individual in the group, including spectators. That includes the wives, the girlfriends, the children, okay? He's responsible for making sure they know what they can and can't do. If you've got, you've brought a family group along, there's children there, earmuffs and all the other things, tell them when they can't go, they must be supervised. Dogs on leads, RO's responsibility. Once again, parking, RO's responsibility. If he's got 3 guys that need to park down at 900, fine. He tells them where they can park, tells them the way in. But he's responsible for every individual. Ensuring all abide by the appropriate range regulations, including reporting incidents. And we'll come on to that in a minute later on. Giving a full range brief, okay? It doesn't have to be a stand-up, bang, 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 look at me, I'm all in charge. But he needs to make sure everyone knows and understands what is happening on the firing point and in the butts within his group. Being easily identifiable on the point helps us and also helps the club when they're looking for someone for assistance. We recommend you wear high-vis vests, red, whatever. But as long as if your club knows what to look for, that will help us. Who is the RO? The RO is the person signing onto the range and taking responsibility for the whole group. The RO can change during the shoot, and it often will. Obviously, it doesn't come down just to the RO, he would want to shoot himself. Therefore, responsibility changes alongside. We recommend that clubs keep a track of who is ROing at the point. So if you've got it split morning, afternoon, or 2 guys in the morning, on your club sign-in sheets, you annotate in there who's doing what. Failure by ROs to carry out duties appropriately can have ramifications for that RO, okay? Now, they all know where they can find the range regulations, they all know where they can find assistance, and worst case scenario, if they're not sure, they get on the radio, give range control a call, and then we'll come out and give you assistance, okay? There's no excuses for not getting it right. Reporting incidents. There's two categories here. When there's an incident, action incident, a breach explodes or something along that lines, or when you spot something that's untoward or you think is incorrect, okay? If it's something that's going to cause immediate danger to an individual, then we all know what to do. Stop, 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 close the range down, get people to look in and deal with it. If you do that, you should immediately report that to the range office. Okay, at the time. Then one of us will come out and then we will look to assist you on the firing point and also gather any information. All too often, ROs come to the range office and say, oh, we had a little bit of a problem and this firing point here was doing something untoward. At that stage, it's too late for us to come out and deal with it. Ideally, I mean, I'm not saying you should get on the radio and tell everybody you just grassed someone up, all right? But a little phone call to the range office and say, look, there's something a little bit untoward here. Can you send someone out? Then one of us will come out and we'll deal with the awkward situation of that confrontation that may come from that, okay? But please, report it at the time and not at the end of the day. If it's an incident where something has gone wrong, a breach explosion for a good example, okay, we need to identify the witnesses and assist with any investigation. So when you've got something going on within your club or your group as an individual, don't allow people that were there or witnessed it to drift away. Hold them there, we will get a statement from them, and then from there, okay, we can start the investigation to what went wrong. If you're unsure whether to report anything to NRA, it's always safer to do so. Get on the phone or on the radio or just come across to the range office. If there's no imminent danger, this can be done by the phone, as I've said. In most cases, it is done by the phone. I've got to be honest, they phone the range office, something untoward. Not that often we get a stop, 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 a phone call. We're aware that some people do not want to deal with that confrontation. You know, and if it's the club next to you and they're mob-handed and you're there with 4 or 5 guys and they're, you know, rough and ready, you may not. But if it's safety critical, ring the range office. Then we'll come out and we will deal with it. It's okay there. Private markers. How do I say this without seeming offensive? Okay. Stickle down butts has a capacity for 9 vehicles, okay? And invariably when we have a large club competition up there and they're using private markers, there is a desire for all these young lads that are marking for the clubs to want to take their vehicle in. That's 9 vehicles is the maximum we can squeeze in that doesn't, or within a safe area. So what we've worked out is that a round hits a target frame, it's losing its energy, and it has the potential to come out at certain angles. We've worked out where we think the safe areas are, and we've allocated 9 spaces within that area. Okay? You need to consider this when you're making your bookings or if you're employing large groupings of private markers, 9 vehicles, okay? We've had incidents in the past where a vehicle's been struck by a round that's come off at the target frame because it was parked in an appropriate place. Your markers, if you employ them, okay, all markers must remain under the mantlet when shooting is taking place. And this refers back to what I just said earlier. At 1,000 yards, the round is, or the energy of the round is diminishing. And when it hits the frame, it can come off at any angle, and does. So we ask you for the markers to remain under the mantlet at all times, and when they finish shooting, not to drift off to their vehicles, because they have to expose themselves when they do that to get to the vehicles. So this means no access to vehicles when in stickle down, and you need to explain that to them. Private markers are the responsibility for the employer, either the shooter that employs them or the club, okay? You're responsible, okay? Ultimately, their behaviour reflects on you. Failure to comply with safety rules can lead to access for those markers being restricted, okay? We've got cameras down there now so we can watch them, or we can see, you know, the days of playing football behind the butts and sunbathing are gone. You know, and we need to get that across to these people. For those people that use the private markers, please ensure you brief them correctly, okay? Invariably, you use individuals that are grouping together. Whoever you're dealing with directly, he's the man that you must ensure understands what's going on. I have no idea why I got this next slide, but anyway, we'll crack on. Dogs, okay? Other than the fact they're meant to be on leads during the shooting, okay? We have 5 dog waste bins installed around camp, okay? Chambers will not empty the standard bins if dog waste is found in them. So if you can pass it through your club members and all your friends and all the rest of it, if they can dispose of the dog waste into the bins around the camp, okay, it'll be appreciated by ourselves and certainly Chambers. And a reminder, dogs must be kept on leads in all domestic areas of camp and during live firing times. This doesn't necessarily mean that you can let your dog out at lunch break and let it run ragged around the range, okay, because we've still got people working. Bear that in mind. If you look at the map there, you can see the little orange circles with the little dogs in. That's where the location of the dog bins are. Okay, I'm not going to explain it much more. They're self-evident, and there's one across there if anyone wants to inspect one. Defibrillators. There are 6 defibrillators on camp. 3 are public access, and 3 are limited in as much as they're maintained by us in our offices. Okay, so the one or in an area where you can't get into out of hours. This map can be found on the notice board inside the range office, but essentially 24-hour access to there's one on the spot, there's one on the RF clubhouse, and there's one on the front of the building here. Okay, the spot and the RF clubhouse, to my belief, are not coded, so you can get straight into them. Okay, the one on the front here is coded, so you'll probably need to ring the number to get into it. Failing that, if it's during the day, range office has the code. The other 3 are, one's held in the range office, one's held up at the Clays, and top of the map there, you've got one that's held up at the 300-yard car park. Now that one there, once again, is coded. You get the number from the actual range office. And finally, aggressive behaviour, my favourite. Okay, there's been an increase in aggressive behaviour. I don't know why, I don't really care. Okay, but there has been, and it's not just on us, staff, it's between members. You know, and it seems for some reason, you know, that there's a few fiery hotheads out there that won't have a go at each other. So member to members and to staff, okay? It's everyone's responsibility to ensure a safe and enjoyable environment. In case you forget, this is a leisure activity, okay? Some people forget that when they come down there. They become very, very strange, okay? It's an enjoyable environment. Staff are here to assist, okay? But also to ensure compliance. So the fact you may be told something you don't want to hear, all right, doesn't make the person that's giving you the message, okay, the point of impact or the point of contact where you can verbally abuse them, right? Accept it. If you've got an issue with it, write an email, okay? Don't take it out on the staff in the office or the lads in the red shirts. It is what it is. There's a set of regulations. We comply to them. And finally, the NRA, the NSC will not tolerate any aggressive behaviour. Okay? But just bear that in mind, put it around. It's a leisure environment. Thank you. Peter.
Thank you, Roger. Rupert Fowler actually is the infrastructure manager. He's on leave this week, so I'm covering elements of the infrastructure. Rupert has 3 teams. Grounds consists of 4 people, the electronics is 4, and there's 6 in so-called target shed. So quite a small setup, given the size of the estate and the variety of targets and the frequency of which we operate, with some ranges running 7 days a week, and maintaining and improving the ranges, butts and facilities is a constant challenge. A couple of pleas. It's about targetry, not mounting your own targets over NRA targets. There are 2 examples here, which lead to the target not being able to be used, or indeed it could be that markers then use one of those targets on the left and score it incorrectly if someone's not able to see. They put a different face over a standard target, and someone there has tried to do a sand and sky, some sort of tin hat over a standard target and causing damage. So that's one of the pleas. Quick summary of our main improvements during this year. And it includes the widening of sections of the 1,000-yard firing point, the levelling and seeding of the 800 yards firing point, left-hand side, which has always been a bone of contention due to its use and where it's situated. And that's shown good results so far. Improved disabled access to Chalesmore and Melville target areas. We also re-established a falling plates mechanism on Stickledown, allowing us to run a full falling plates competition with historic rifles this year, which proved very popular. Work is continuing to have the automated reset mechanism that's nearing completion. Next year, we plan to install new turning targets on Chalesmore, replace the aging hide frames in butt 18 on Century, improve the drainage in butt 0, install a covered firing point at 200 yards on Short Siberia, and upgrading the site-wide tannery system, which has been a real issue, trying to get contractors who can provide that, a very important element to our safety when it's difficult to hear that tunnel in certain ranges or certain wind conditions. And that's amongst the very many other smaller projects or larger maintenance, delaying and other projects that go on the ranges throughout the year. Shooting and track repairs and bits and pieces, a lot goes on. Benches, they're provided free of charge to support shooters. We have had an increase in the demands for benches, and we've looked at the current system we have. There are some stronger ones on some ranges and other ones which are less robust. We've redesigned them, and we're gradually rolling out a stronger system, not as good as the old ones that were there 10 years ago that we couldn't move with one person, just too heavy, but ones that are movable by our resources and provide the support that's needed. We'll be producing more over the winter and deploying those on ranges early in next year. I would say if you are a competitor wishing to use a bench during competitions, you should consider investing in your own movable bench. Quite a few people do that, and they bring that own bench onto the point to be able to compete under the rules of shooting, which we encourage. Moving on to electronic targets, we have three main systems at Bisley: Kongsberg, shot marker, and Tarsa. You'll be familiar with those. We make a considerable effort and investment annually to maintain them, around £80,000 alone on software upgrades and hardware and consumables. The Intarso rubber skins are 2,400 for each pair on stickle down and 1,900 for each pair on century. They're replaced at least annually to maintain the integrity of the system and the accuracy. All systems are calibrated and the details are recorded, calibrated on a monthly basis at least, and details are recorded. The main errors we find are comms and shooter errors. We'll come on to that in a moment with some examples. Following discussion with F-class shooters, we'll be trialling a specific F-class shot marker target from next month on lane 49 at 600 yards on century. The rigidity of this much reduced frame and much smaller target face will improve accuracy dramatically to the stated 3 millimeters that shot marker itself declares. We actually shot on it yesterday and achieved a very good calibration and extremely good accuracy. Why only F-class on there? And I guess the reason is here. This is going to work. Battery run out. There you go. Jump 2, have I? There you go. That's the reason. We have a very large number of examples of damage, and this is the kind of sensors that are shot, cables that are shot out, and these are at 300 yards, 100 yards on short Siberia. So a very large example and an array in the electronics team. And in many cases, the rounds don't reach the target. These pictures were taken last week on Century, target 42, but 14 electronic, target 58, but 15 a manual target. Both target numbers are 7 years old. You can see the target on the left absolutely peppered with shots. This is 2 meters plus below the target face, up on the mantlet behind, and a number of shots never reach it. So when we're called out at times and said, your system doesn't work, it's not recording my shots, you realize that in many instances, the rounds, that's just one target number capturing the shots around the ground below it, the mantlet alongside. Now the range is designed to accept those shots, the target can accept them, but it just indicates back to the point Roger made earlier about the need to check a rifle setting, check the sight setting. Strange that on a manually marked target, yes, the range is not as frequently used as butt 14, but nevertheless, people need to treat a manually marked target with more consideration before they engage with it, whereas on an electronic, it seems to be at times, it's more of a spray and pray. So some frustrations there for the team on the electronic side. And the majority of shooters do respect the range and the systems, but intentional damage, this is short Siberia, someone using a target number to zero their rifle rather than a target. Not only disheartening, it's costly, we replace these far too often, and it presents a hazard to other users. Finally, this is the, you don't need to read it through, it's the plan we have each year to move the number pegs back to the rear half of ranges, range 19, areas of butt 14 and 1,000 yards on pickle down, where we shoot from the rear half of a range to allow the front half to recover. They're frequently in use, they become quite tired, and it means the grounds team can address those areas of the range so they are improved, ready for the main season next year. We did it the same last year and it worked well. That's part of the reason we extended the width of the firing point of 1,000 yards. We did the same thing at 300 yards last year. The firing point at 600 already is wide enough for that. So that will be happening very shortly, where you shoot from the rear half of a firing point. That's it brief update on range infrastructure, and yeah, we've been levelling that 800 yards. I'll hand over to Becky to cover the competitions.
Okay, so following a busy and enjoyable 2025 programme, we're working to publish our detailed information for our 2026 calendar. The outline dates are now available via our main NRA website, with detailed programmes due to be published soon on the online booking website, which is online.nra.org. Okay. Some highlights. We're looking forward to Phoenix. It will be the 29th Phoenix meeting in 2026, which will be from the 21st to the 24th of May. Our Imperial meeting will run from the 11th of June to the 25th of July. And following the Imperial meeting, we are really pleased to be hosting the F-Class World Championships, which will take place from the 10th to the 16th of August. And just prior to that, we will have the British Open from the 3rd to the 8th of August. During the Imperial meeting, we will be introducing the Youth Imperial. This will run from the Saturday the 11th to Thursday the 16th of July. The Saturday will be a day of events to gain experience in 4 different types of shooting, namely sporter air rifle, clay shooting, gallery rifle, and target rifle. Following that, on the Sunday, we'll have a morning of competitions for these same 4 disciplines. The Monday through Thursday is predominantly a target rifle programme, culminating in a team event on the Thursday. Inspiration has been drawn from the schools meeting, but we're aiming to reach a wider audience with this new programme. We hope to introduce an open and issued rifle class, and there'll be additional opportunities throughout the evening for those young shooters. I'll now hand over to Velma, who's going to talk you through what's happening in the pavilion.
I am Velma Durham, the Pavilion and Accommodation Manager. We've had a series of refurbishments take place within the Pavilion Bisley over the past year. Since the refurbishments, we've decided to install a 10-meter electronic airgun range using SIAS targetry. And that is located on the right-hand back corner of the Pavilion Bisley, this building here. Regarding the airgun range, in order to book onto the range, you first must all have an induction. So if you are interested in shooting on the range, you will book in for an induction. We'll schedule you in. Those inductions take place on Tuesdays, Fridays from 2 to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 until 5 p.m. Sorry. We also have membership options available to suit everybody's needs. We have the under 21s membership option, individual and club memberships. And with those memberships comes the insurance that's required. And we also have developed or have included a user-friendly online booking system that is linked in with the Pavilion Bisley website. On the Pavilion Bisley website, we have a tab for airgun range, and then from there you can also read up on the induction and membership and book on after you have gone through the induction process. So that is the website there. Next, I'll pass it over to Michael Bobadin to speak about the Bisley Sporting Rifle and Bisley Shooting Academy. Thank you.
Thank you, Velma. So, as stated there, my name is Michael Bovingdon. I'm the Shooting Development Manager here for the NSC. Want to talk to you a little bit today about Sporting Rifle and the changes we've made down there. We've rebranded as Bisley Sporting Rifle. We've completely redeveloped the site with a new clubhouse, modern reception and offices as well. It's got fully covered firing points for the entirety of the year. complete range upgrades as well, invested an awful lot of money into Kongsberg electronic systems for the running ball, running deer, the statics range as well, and the time limit as well. Additional activities, we've also got the sponsors range, which connects with Bisley Air, which in connection with the range here in the pavilion. That offers a 50-metre outdoor air gun range and a 50-metre archery range as well. For membership, non-NRA members, FAC holders, price £89 per year after a safety introduction, open for practice sessions, club bookings and training for all skill levels. And the website down the bottom right-hand corner. Now the Academy. Some of you may know where the Reed Pavilion is behind the main NRA building. We turned it into the Bisley Shooting Academy. We've designed it as a flagship facility for all things marksmanship and training, fully equipped with some of the most advanced technology, simulator being the mainstay of that. Professional coaching and technical excellence also provided. The simulator suite supports all shotgun and rifle disciplines, so Olympic trap, skeet and sporting rifle. Enables us as coaches to provide sort of detailed diagnostics and coaching to sort of better the athlete as much as possible. It's a fully equipped classroom for formal instruction and NGB accredited courses, so all CPSA, NSC and Home Office. It's open to independent coaches and training providers also, and there is a gun fitting and demonstration room for trade partners as well. We have recently had the grand opening there last weekend. It's integrated shooting facility, so it creates a central hub for all levels, from beginners to elite marksmen, and provides a complete training pathway supported by world-class coaching innovation. And links to the website, there all is found through the main NSC website. I'll now hand over to Jodie.
Hi everyone, my name is Jodie. A lot of you will know me. I'm responsible for range safety, the armoury team and the range office as well that handle the majority of your bookings. First off, I want to start by talking about fallbacks and pin-on charges. It's caused a bit of confusion this year amongst a lot of members. Just to highlight, this has been in place since 2022. We've stated it in multiple range conferences before, and it has been in the range hire charges as well. I'll put a bit of information on that you can have a read through at your leisure. But basically the summary of it is that when you are shooting at targets, some will be on larger frames and some will be on smaller frames, which consist of what we call a pin-on. If you're shooting at multiple distances, it may mean you're using two different types of targets. And as such, because of that, we charge an additional pin-on fee. So if, say, you're falling back from a 300-yard target to a 600-yard target, it's two different frames, so there's a small charge added to that. Additional pin-ons can be requested by the users as well. So if, for example, you're shooting at short Siberia, you think you're going to shoot out the center of your 100-yard target very quickly, you can ask for more additional targets as well. I understand sometimes members want to provide their own, or potentially they want to say that they're falling back from 100 yards to 200 yards and take the same pin-on with them. That's not easy for us to control or manage, so unfortunately there is an additional charge that's put on these bookings. Important dates and prices for next year. So the website was updated at the weekend. All major events and member days now have the dates for 2026 on there. So when you're looking to make your bookings next week when the system opens, please refer to these dates. Range hire charges, there's been an increase of up to 5%. And again, those prices can be found on the website. Member days, they've been very successful over the past couple of years. Majority of them do get fully booked. So again, the dates on the website, make sure you book in early. All of them are overseen by an NRA and they also contribute to the SCC renewal. So if you attend 3 of these or other similar events, that will count for the automatic renewal for next year. Affiliated club members with a valid SCC are also able to attend. All members do have an online Just Go profile, so if anyone's not aware of those details, please do contact the membership team and they'll be able to provide you with them. We have removed Target Shotgun for 2026. Unfortunately, there was very minimal uptake this year, with cancelling approximately half of those dates. So we don't plan to continue that next year. But the 2-2 long-range deals have proven very successful, and from next year we will also be offering the obstacles on those dates as well. 3-3 Latmag was very successful in 2025. We had 7 dates where the idea was trialled of shooting on stickle down at 900 yards, and then if everyone was happy, they dropped back to 1,000 yards. Normal muzzle velocity and muzzle energy limits apply for HME, and you do the zeroing procedure on the range itself. We've got a lot more dates. I think it's 1 every month for next year is now scheduled in. Section 7.3, the heritage shoots that we do on Chelsmore. As of 2026, we'll be splitting these into AM and PM sessions. The reason for that is because, firstly, the armour at the moment doesn't get a lunch break at all. They're down there from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way through to 5:30, 6 in the evening without a proper break. So that's one reason. Second reason is, on the odd occasion, we've had to turn a few members away because there hasn't been enough space. So there is a maximum capacity of people that are allowed to attend these dates. And some members choose to turn up at 10, leave about 3, and then we've lost spaces for other people to attend on these occasions. So from next year, it's being split into a morning and an afternoon session. And again, the dates can be found on the website. As Peter mentioned at the start of this, approximately 1,500 events have already been coordinated and plotted before we open the system next week. And that varies from the NRA competitions to skills courses, members' days, maintenance that we have to then liaise with Purbright Rangers next door regarding access, and the other big club competitions that have already been scheduled in as well. All the agreed club competitions, everyone should have heard back from us regarding those, and they are still required to be submitted online. Failure to do so by January will result in us removing them from our plots and opening up the range space back to other users. The online system will be approximately 9 o'clock on the 3rd of November, so please no one stay up to midnight on the day before waiting to submit. It will be on the Monday morning. We normally receive about 2,000 requests within this first month, so please do bear with us as we're trying to process them all. It could take a little while before you hear back. We start off by going through the January and February bookings first and all the agreed club competitions. Then we'll do a single run through of the whole year. Any bookings that come through for June, July and August, because of the Imperial competition that goes on, there'll be a little delay before we're allowed to finalise those bookings. So hopefully we'll get round to them kind of towards April, May time next year. To help with your bookings, we ask that you do check the dates on the website. We post a list of the long range, so the 11 and 1200 yard dates, and also the fullback dates as well that are scheduled. So there's certain events that the club competitions have requested. It will state on this page whether it's a 300 to a 600 fullback or a 356 fullback. So we ask that you try and align your club competitions to these dates as well. If you're attempting a date that's not listed, it's not necessarily not available. It just means we'll need to wait until nearer the time to process it so we can see what remaining availability is left on the range. We ask that you add alternatives in the comments if you're happy to accept anything as an option. This could be dates or distances or potentially electronic versus manual targets. Just means if you give us more options, we're more likely to be able to approve your booking straight away rather than having to decline it and you resubmit and go to the bottom of the queue again. And ensure you have selected targetry. Quite often people on the gallery rifle ranges don't put any backing boards or any type of targetry. So again, that delays the process, having to send emails and phone calls just to check what everyone's after. If calling to request a check of alternative dates, please bear in mind, like I said at the beginning, we'll have about 2,000 bookings on the system, so we won't be able to provide accurate availability to begin with. There will be a backlog of bookings. If anyone has any questions in the room or online, these are the appropriate email addresses for you. I will leave those up there, and we are going to end the live feed now and then take questions from anyone in the room. Just be aware that all of this information will be on the NRA website later today, and it will be emailed out to all members and club secretaries. Thank you.